So we grow using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Christo
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And folks, today we're going to have an amazing show. We are rolling out a very special segment of our show, and my co-host will tell you a little bit about it. Go for it, co-host.
Hey guys, so we're excited to be here. This for the next couple of months, we're going to be talking about balancing business, love, and relationships. We have found over the years as entrepreneurs that it can be a little challenging to have a love relationship and a business, especially if you're in the beginning parts of your business. And so we felt that end out and kick out the rest of the year, we wanted to talk about that so you guys could start preparing for 2023. If this is one of those things that's on your list of things to do, is to share the success of your businesses with a loved one beyond your immediate family, then this is what we're going to be talking about. We have some great guests lined up that are entrepreneurs like myself and Gilbert, and then we have some couples that have made it work.
That's
And
right.
so they have actually made it work for many, many years. So they're going to share their wisdom and their tips as to how they got it to work. And hopefully in 2023, we will all have some new goals to include with our business goals.
I can't wait. I can't wait, guys. This is just amazing. You guys are going to love what we're offering today and throughout the rest of our programming here on the Business Zone. Now, just so you guys know, the Business Zone, we've been on air since 2016. That's when we were born. The Business Zone was born 2016, guys. And we've been going strong since then. We've been providing information to small businesses, guidance, support, resources. A lot of small businesses have come on this show, told us how our advice has helped them to either get contracts or grants or elevate their business. So that's what we do here on the Business Zone, guys. And today we're going to look at how your personal relationship interacts with your business relationship and sometimes can create some issues. So my co-host has a list of resources we're going to tap into.
Exactly. But before we do that, Gilbert, you were away from us last week. Although we ran a show, but you were actually quite busy last week. So you want to tell us about it?
Yes. I was in San Bernardino County last week. I was at the San Bernardino County Airport, and I was hosting and running a procurement summit for the Hispanic Coalition of Small Businesses, which was an amazing event. We had I had to introduce and bring on some speakers, 5 speakers. One of them was the mayoral candidate for San Bernardino, Helen Tran, and the CEO of the airport. And then we had the interim director of the San Bernardino County Procurement Department. And we also had Mr. Michael Herrera from McCarthy Builders. Okay. And then there was also Mr. Frank Reyes from the Community College District of San Bernardino County. So it was just an amazing event, man.
Did you guys have a good turnout?
Well, we expected about 280, and probably about 120 showed up. And
okay,
I'm kind of thinking the part of the reason for that is it was kind of bleaky that day. It started drizzling, raining earlier in the morning. So, and then again, we all know that when you have events on Fridays, you're not going to see a lot of entrepreneurs because that's the day that entrepreneurs out there collecting their money. So, so it was like an oxymoron to have an event on a Friday, and expected to have a big support of small businesses. But we did have some of them, so it was good.
And people are still getting comfortable with coming out and going to live events. We're still
Yes, yes,
not all of us are there yet. So I know
yes, yes.
I pick and choose the ones that I go to.
Yes, yes.
I
I do
bet.
the same. I did the
Yeah,
same too. I
yeah.
don't want to be, around too many people. I was telling someone yesterday, co-host, I was sharing my experience with COVID back in December. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
man, after that, I just don't want to be near people. I just want to be by myself. I'll do things virtual.
And it's interesting because we're back into the fall.
Yeah.
So that means there's flus
Flu
out there, and
season.
flu
Yeah.
season is here. And on top of that, some people are still there was a school, and I think it was in Santa Monica, maybe,
Mhm.
or somewhere in the west, South Bay or the west side, and it started with 500 kids out. By the end of the week, about 1,400 kids were out with the flu.
All right. Right.
So so we got to know that it is out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we still have to be cautious. I say put your mask back on during this
Yeah.
winter season, and then there's some other forms of other what do you call them, strands of COVID. Not like it was, but the flu can be just as dangerous as
Oh,
COVID.
for sure.
So
It's scary. It's scary because I'm hearing that they even got that monkeypox out there right now.
yeah. Now I heard something interesting today. I heard that, or the other day, I think I was listening to somebody, and it made a comment that COVID made your organs old. So
Wow.
your body organs, especially if you got it really, really bad,
Yeah.
your organs aged a bit.
Wow.
So that's kind of scary that all of a
It's
sudden
scary.
you had 30-year-old or 40-year-old organs, and now you have 50 or 60-year-old organs.
Oh my Lord. That is scary, man. That is scary. Wow.
So that's kind of scary, man. So
Yes, for sure. For sure.
that certain body parts took a hit on certain body parts.
Yeah. That is crazy, man. That is crazy. So, a lot of people that I've been talking to, they're talking about long COVID versus short COVID. The long COVID is the one where you experience COVID and the symptoms you have to live with it for the rest of your life because it has damaged a lot of your organs and body parts, and that's just so. I just can't imagine how atrocious that is. I mean, even me myself, I experience forgetfulness sometimes.
Okay, you still
Sometimes.
do?
Well, yeah, a little bit here and there. I was speaking to someone
Oh.
yesterday, and I was trying to refer to her, but I knew who she was, but I didn't remember her name. So she's looking at me like, you don't remember my name? I said, wait a second, let me think.
That's sad. They had to come back to me, but at least you can say it's COVID. It's COVID.
Yeah,
What can I
yeah,
say? It's
yeah.
COVID. You have
But
a
some
good.
people will accept it as COVID. Some people go, I can't believe you can't remember my name. After I've known you for 7 years.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, that's like I said, that those are some of those side effects, for
Yeah,
what they call the long haulers.
yes.
Um,
Definitely.
And obviously it did some damage, and it's still so new, so
Yeah.
we don't really know to the full
We don't know
extent.
the extent, man. We don't know, next year or next 2 years what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll start growing an extra toe on our feet.
Oh God, that's scary. Make you into a monster, huh? An
Or we'll
extra
probably
toe
start growing.
monster.
Yeah, we'll probably start growing spurs and stuff. Like you never know, man.
Oh my. Well, I hope you don't start growing things over there,
I
Griffiths.
hope not. I hope not. So, how about
Yeah,
you, co-host? How was your week last week?
my week was pretty good. Crazy busy. It's just
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's this end of the year. Oh, October. Maybe it's not the end of the year. Maybe it's just October itself. It's just taking on just this intensity. I feel like I'm working 24/7, and that is not the kind of business that I want to run at this age and how long I've been in business. I like it controlled. I like it in nice little spots on my calendar.
Yeah.
And I do it, and I write up some notes,
Yes.
and that's it. That's the kind of business that I want to run, or I speak, or I'm on the business zone. But this week we had a great show. I don't know if anyone out there that's listening to us tapped into the
On the
community
community
briefing yesterday.
right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, we did a show on
Let me
whatever was
look
that
it up
show?
real quickly on YouTube. See
Yeah, our show
what it
was
covers.
on the political landscape and
Yeah.
upcoming elections.
Uh-huh.
Greg did an excellent. Our Greg, our MC over there, and our roaming reporter over here.
Yeah. Our
Greg,
field correspondent.
our spill correspondent. So he was able to he pulled together all of the ballots, and he created a nice little chart on
Oh wow, that's
what
pretty
the
neat.
reports were saying what his research was saying you should vote on. And then Emma Maxey, she does a fantastic job with that stuff, so she was on. And so what Greg couldn't fill in, she filled in. And Emma's actually having a election party. I think it's this Sunday
Oh yeah.
or next Sunday. She's having an election party at her home, and they're going to fill out ballots together.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's different.
Yeah. So she did that last year. We had a couple of candidates pop by. Selena Thomas popped by.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she came in and she taught. And then we had another young lady. Her name is Joy Langford. She's with the water replenishment a division. So she's running for an office. She's running for an office director, I think. And so she came in and spoke. And we had Lisa Finch from Our Weekly. They're doing a whole episode, a whole news article on the election and the measures and the propositions and explaining to the people. So it was a good conversation. Constance Anderson came on, and we talked about the craziness that's going on in City Hall today. We talked about Kevin DeLoyan. He don't want to step down, so they had to strip him of all.
Oh, they stripped him?
They stripped him of all of his meeting capacity,
responsibilities,
everything. So he just now has a title in name only, but he refuses to step down.
Oh wow. So is this the briefing that had the guest Jamar Wilson on there?
No, that was the one before. Jamal Wilson is actually a housing advocate. So he was on the week before, 2 weeks before, and then Michael Banner was on last week, and he talked about some funding. It's not up in it's not. I haven't. You have to go to RBD's Facebook page to get what was on
I'm
yesterday.
looking on here and I'm not seeing.
I have to edit it and put the intro into it and all that sort of stuff. So I haven't done that as of yet, but it was good. I will be putting it up probably sometime tonight, and it will have all of our resources attached to it. So that way people can really start spending some time doing their research for voting. Because the one thing I can tell you based upon what has happened in City Hall, we can just not leave. We cannot leave things up to chance, man. We have to really, really, really be aware of who we're voting for, and make sure that these people have the character and people that you that are there to represent us.
Yeah, too many crazy people out there now.
Yeah, I mean the federal government is one thing, and the antics that go on between the Democrats and the Republicans is one thing.
Yeah.
But when you come down to a local city government and you got all this corruption and craziness going on, that greatly, who does that greatly affect? The people that are the
because
people.
They're more closely aligned with us, so they're affecting us, you know.
Right. And the lower income people in our communities. They are really greatly affected that, because any decision that takes place in the community really affects them because they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
That's so it's crazy. It's really crazy. So it was feeling like, when I was watching it on the news, it was feeling like, is this some third world country we talking about, or is this Los Angeles? Either some third world country or some southern crazy country.
You know, some people, if you leave them up to their own device, man, they'll burn down the whole house with everybody in it. And it seemed like that's what many of these politicians are doing now. Because if you don't like them, you're not voting for them, then they rather burn down the whole house than to lose an election, you know?
Right, exactly. And the power thing, this is what you see in third world countries, where power has a different implication for them, right? And they're willing to do anything in order to maintain that power and stay in power. You know, when we, i.e. Putin, i.e. Korea, Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is. That's what you expect there
from those guys.
Right? You getting that same craziness here. So it's just enough to make you like, wow. So
well, I have a solution for that. I think we should ship them to those countries and leave them over there. Take their passports and leave them over there. Because if that's what they want, then they can get it. You know? Ship them to North Korea and Russia. Take their passport and leave them over there, man.
Well, there's one I'd like to see go to Russia and stay. How about you?
I got quite a few that I'd like to see go, man. Just go. Leave us alone. Leave the people alone.
Well, that's a good solution.
Oh yeah, I think we should do that, man. Just say, hey, you want us to help you pack? Okay, we'll help you pack. Ship you to North Korea or Russia or something, you know.
Yeah, because I tell you, it makes it, you know, the news, you have to watch it. You have to watch it, but you have to watch it in bite-sized segments. So, because if not, you get so angry, you want to just like punch some people out.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, definitely.
Oh gosh, yes. All righty, we ready to get started with our.
We are ready to show the relationship between an entrepreneur and that entrepreneur's personal relationship with their mate. You know, their spouse, their girlfriend, boyfriend, family. That type of thing.
Yeah. So first of all, the reason Gilbert and I, like I said, doing this, we just feel it's about self-care. I think one of the things that I feel as an entrepreneur is sometimes we take care of ourselves from a financial standpoint. But there's a lot of other things in our lives that get put to the side. Taking care of our health, taking care of our personal relationships with other individuals beside our family. Sometimes we're so isolated, especially if we're just starting this business, we are so into it that we don't see anything else but that, right? and you look up and you're like, wow, life is passing me by. I mean,
Mhm.
the family picnic, the reunion,
Mhm.
the whatever, you don't find yourself getting out there and visiting. Before the pandemic, one of our outlets was that we would go do networking events, right? That
Right,
was
right.
before the pandemic. And I know in my early days, it was so important that people, you got out there because
Yeah.
people, you had to get out there to where the people were, right?
Right, right.
But since the pandemic, we have all become super, super isolated human
Yeah.
beings.
Yep, yep. Yep.
So that's one of the reasons we're doing this. We just feel that just coming from Gilbert and I, and Gilbert went through the COVID, and he had some challenges with it, and
Yeah.
so I think you came out of it feeling like um, there was more to life than
Oh,
just
for
working.
sure. For sure. After after being on that little isolated island by myself, I realized a lot of things that I say, you know what? I've got a newfound appreciation and recognition for some things. So no more am I doing those 24/7 shifts, running the business. Nope, nope, nope.
Right. You have to set up I set up now. I mean, I cut times out, I have business hours. I have a calendar system that I use that the clients have to use in order to schedule, because it
Yeah,
makes me really stressed to
right,
try to squeeze people in and trying to
right.
figure out what's the best time. No, that just takes up some valuable time.
Oh, it
So
does. It
right,
does.
so that's what I'm doing. So that's what we're doing today, guys, is don't let your business ruin your relationship. Finding balance, making sure you're taking care of self. So there's a couple of some information that I found. There was a quote that I read. It says, when you're getting in relationships with an entrepreneur, it's like sliding in bed with an entrepreneur and you wind up cuddling with his business or her business. Because, when you first start out, that's all you're talking about. It's like your business.
Right.
The whole conversation is about that. And that person is looking at you glassy eyed and you don't even see it, right? So we all know it's no secret that it's
All right.
running a business can get in the way of managing relationships, and finding
Mhm.
balance is often very daunting.
Yes.
Most entrepreneurs and small businesses can't really think about how long the days are because we're so focused, like Gilbert just said, having 24/7 days,
Oh.
just trying to get whatever you're trying to get to. You're just trying to squeeze it all into a
Right.
24/7, and especially when you first start out. So if you're already as a couple, it can be very challenging for you. You can have very
Right.
difficult times. And if you're a startup and you're just starting business and you don't have a relationship, it's very hard to start a new relationship when every time you guys are planning to go somewhere, you're canceling. So
Right, right.
so that's some of the reasons. So Gilbert, we want to go through some of the you have a little list there that you wanted to talk about.
Yes, yes, yes. I think I sent it to you. You probably have some on this already, right?
I
So
have some, yeah.
yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
should go through yours. Let's go through yours first.
Okay. So here's some of the things for that. So in our next coming couple of weeks, we will have single women and men who will be coming out talking about their experiences as an entrepreneur. And at this stage of game, most of us have pretty much established our businesses. Most of the people we're going to be talking about have been in business for at least 10 plus years, probably have been in relationships and come out of relationships, and now they're looking for new relationships, or they finally didn't come up from air and decided that, hey, I don't want to be by myself any longer.
Oh yeah.
So they go through the process of dating. So dating options today, and I don't think Gilbert you've gone this route as of yet, but it's pretty much narrowed down to online.
Mhm.
Um, used to be you could go to parties and things like that, or friends would introduce you. But I
Yeah.
don't know if that happens. And if anybody knows that that does happen, please let us
Right.
know. But I haven't had a friend introduce me to anybody in a very,
Right.
very long time. So online dating is pretty much your choice. Or have you found yourself, Gilbert, going to a meeting and you see someone, you're like, that person I might be interested in, but you
Yeah.
don't know how to broach the subject and take it from business to personal.
Yeah, it's a really touch and go subject because you don't want to come across like you don't want to come across like that creepy person at the event. That creepy person at the event, just salivating over other women, so you have to put on a professional demeanor and just keep it strictly professional, even though
Right.
you would like to know that person a little bit more. Yeah, it is strange. It's strange.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. So I found something that was 6 reasons why dating can be a nightmare for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Um, so and then and we're gonna also talk about some of our traits. So
Right.
as you guys can see here, the behaviors, the patterns, the traits of entrepreneurs. So, basically as an entrepreneur, how would you describe, and I know I do this with my classes,
Yeah.
what are some of the characteristics that you have found, because you do a lot of coaching, I do a lot of coaching,
Yes.
that represents personalities of a entrepreneur?
Well, as an entrepreneur, you want to be able to come across as being confident. You want to demonstrate you're trustworthy. Uh, you're persistent in going after things, getting things done. You're responsible. You pay attention to deadlines. Yeah, those are traits that you got to make sure you master when it comes to entrepreneurship. You also want to show that you're a good decision maker. You're able to make good decisions. You've got the stamina. You've got what it takes. You also have goals that you can manage and you can also achieve. You're highly motivated to bring about results. You're highly motivated to work with others and make things happen. And also to provide that service that you set out to provide to your customers, that, make them feel like they're the best thing in the room. So those are some of the traits that as an entrepreneur you need to have. Sadly, most of the times those traits are not carried over at home in your relationship. So that's what we're trying to balance here today on this show. And just so you guys know out there, all of you, this is the first of its kind to be done in the coaching world, in a professional world, anywhere. Coach Crystal and I were the first one to develop a system like this, a program like this, to let people understand what other entrepreneurs gone through or go through. Because we've gone through some of this before. We've dealt with people who are just nightmares. We've dealt with people who they're not entrepreneurs, but they're our mates or partners, and they don't understand the entrepreneurship world. So there are certain demands that they put on us that we just can't satisfy because, hey, in an entrepreneurial world, the customer comes first. So
Right.
you're going to take care of the customer because, that's what's going to bring in the money so you can take care of home and everything. So, yeah, so these are some of the traits entrepreneurs want to exhibit. You also want to be patient. You want to demonstrate patience. And that's why when your mate or your partner is asking you to do certain things, you try to be really tolerant and you try to be really patient with them and explaining things. But some of the things, it's just unexplainable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's interesting because those same traits would be the perfect person the perfect traits you'd want in a mate, right? They make you
Exactly.
feel like you're the center of the universe.
Yes.
They prioritize you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Focus in on making sure that they provide the best customer service for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They bend over backwards. So
Yeah.
those are actually the traits you would want in a mate.
Yes, for sure.
to be honest with you.
For sure, for sure. But it's just unfortunate that they don't see how they can blend in. And some entrepreneurs are like that too. They don't see how they can blend the two. So it's really a balancing act. So what we're trying to do is to get folks to look at things a little differently, and perhaps, maybe they can go the extra mile to really see how they can make both worlds coincide, because they have to. You have to coincide, make both worlds coincide, because you got the personal life, you got the business life. At the end of the day, when you come home, you got to deal with that business, that personal life, right? During the daytime, or at events or whatever, an expo, you've got the business life going, and every now and again you'll receive a call, right, from home or from the personal saying, hey, what time are you coming home for dinner, or can you pick something up on your way, and those things.
Are you coming home for dinner?
Yeah, are you coming home for dinner? Oh man, it is something else.
And it's so funny, Gilbert. I have some friends. I have a friend that's extremely successful in business.
Yeah.
I mean, just business is on point. Scaled it all the way up, and to the point where what we talk to our clients about having an exit strategy so he could live a more a balanced life.
Yeah.
But he has put so much time and energy into the beginning. The man was just a train wreck when it came to finance, came to personal relationships. Just a train wreck. And I used to say to him, it's like, if you could just take that personality that you have. I've seen how you interact with clients.
Right.
I see how you are when you're out doing presentations. If you could just take that same personality into your personal relationship, oh my God, man, you'd be on point. But it was just there was no, it didn't translate. It
didn't translate at all.
It didn't translate at all.
And that's why one of the points that I want to put out there for entrepreneurs, because I'll start with the entrepreneurs first, because since I'm an entrepreneur, I'll start with the entrepreneur part first, how they can work on resolving or blending the two, right?
Right. Okay.
One of the first things that the entrepreneur want to do is to understand that when it comes to communication, it is their responsibility to make sure that the person who you're conveying the message to understand the delivery of the message, what you're trying to deliver. It's your responsibility. You don't just say things and leave it hanging and have them going, what is he talking about? What did he say? What does he mean by that? You want to have them restate what you just tell them. So let's say you told them that, hey, I do understand I'm spending too much time on the business, but starting next week, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put X amount of time in the business, X amount of time with you. We're going to go places. We're going to do things. Weekends is going to be for us. It's never going to be, I'm not going to get the business involved on our weekends, right? You want to have your partner restate that to you to make sure that they understand what you just said. Because sometimes when people say things, the receiver receives it one way, while the deliverer is delivering it a certain way and thinking the recipient gets it. And a lot of time that's where you get the confusion, because one party is not picking up what the other party is putting down.
Right, exactly. And like you said, it's all about that communication. When we talk about relationships, and whether they're personal relationships or business relationships, whatever they are, you have to be very specific and clear in articulating exactly what you mean, and not making assumptions that they get it, right? Because they may not get it. And I think in business we tend to be, we kind of short, right? We don't right, it's not warm and fuzzy. Usually it's very short and succinct, right? And so that's, in a business relationship, that's great, right? You're getting to the point, you're succinct, you're precise. but in personal relationships, you have to kind of smooth that out a little bit. I
Right.
know when I first launched my business, which was a number of years ago. But I was an entrepreneur in a world of employee type mindset. And
Yes.
there is a difference between
Yes.
being an employee and
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur on how
Yeah.
you look at life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So generally your you have learned to proprietize and
Mhm.
compartmentize your
Yeah.
world, so that,
Yeah.
especially if you're solopreneur, right, so you can
Right.
get it
Right.
all done, right?
Yeah.
But an employee has a different mindset. It's like, I go to work, I check in and I check back
Right.
out when it's time to check out, and when I check out, work stays at work.
Right. Right. Right.
Especially if you're not a professional in that. If you're like an attorney or a doctor or something, then they're in the same boat we're in.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I heard a comment the other day. I was watching something, and all the doctors and nurses were married to each other.
Wow.
So some new interns had come in, and they're like, "What the heck? Why is everybody married to each other here in this hospital?" And so the other person said, "Because we don't have free time. We don't have time to
Wow.
go out and date. We got
Wow.
to find everything right here in the same place where we working."
And that is so true too. That is so true because if you look at the doctor's schedule is all over the place. Never know when he or she's going to be scheduled for something. So if you're scheduled at the same facility with someone else who is probably their schedule is probably synced up with yours, then that may make it a little easier for you to get your
Y'all going to
personal life
work
going.
together, right? You're going to
Yes.
work together. You may be
Yes.
able to grab lunch together. You
Yes.
probably, if you're going to work late, you probably going to grab dinner together, and then you come home
Yeah.
together. So you
Yeah.
together all day long.
Yeah.
Whereas if that person, your mate, was outside of that world,
In
you'd
a
never see
different
that person.
industry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never ever see that person. So in the medical profession specifically,
Yeah.
that happens a lot. And I know in the entertainment world, that's one
Yeah.
of their biggest complaints is
Hmm.
when you see a relationship that has come unglued, or
Right.
they're
Right.
divorced, and when you ask them why, or when doing an interview, it's always, we just didn't have the time
Hmm.
to establish and to build on the relationship.
Right. And going back to the communication piece again, they say that 90% of the communication is in the body language, right?
Mm,
10% is in the actual verbiage, what you say. So if you're in front of someone and you're speaking to them, they're going to be looking at your body language, and that will tell them whether or not what you're saying is what they're perceiving, right? So we get
mm-hmm,
that. Now in
mm-hmm.
today's society, a lot of us communicate by phone, text, email, right? So then you can't really see body language, but you get a sense of the tone. So the body language is now replaced by the tone, the tonality of the message. So if I'm texting you something and I put certain word or explanate, like an exclamation mark, or if I put uppercase, now all of a sudden that person is perceiving it that way. They're perceiving it a certain way that, oh, this person yelling at me. What are
Right.
they trying to say? You see what I'm saying? And it may not be that at all, but that's how the person perceives it. And then now an argument is started. So,
Exactly.
so we
And,
just got to be mindful of all of those things, man.
and in our businesses, we are mindful of that, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
very cognizant of
yeah,
how we speak to a client, right?
yeah, yeah,
Or especially a new client. It's like, okay, and you go back and you analyze, how did they perceive that, right?
yeah,
When you're
Yeah.
doing an email, you may rewrite it 3 or 4 ways to make sure that it's clear and that it's saying exactly what you want. There's nothing that can be read into it. But in a
Right.
personal place, we tend not to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't go the extra mile and like we would with a customer. So we probably entrepreneurs, you probably want to start looking at that approach in your personal relationship in order to keep it balanced and keep some peace at home.
I would quite agree. So I'm gonna lead that. So that kind of leads us into when you look at some of the reasons that dating for us is challenging is we obviously prioritize work first because especially
Hmm.
depending on what phase of your business you're in. Um, Entrepreneurs travel often for business, especially if they
Hmm.
have that type of business,
Yeah.
which would be a good thing
Yeah.
because you could then, if you could coincide that with a personal, maybe the business is handled during the week, but then
Yeah.
extend it over for Friday and Saturday and bring
Yeah.
your mate with you, and then
Yeah.
no work. You guys just work on the relationship, right? You just work on spending time with each other. But I guess that I know you travel a lot during your relationship.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm laughing because you may travel say Monday to Thursday, for example, right? And you're
Uh-huh.
thinking, okay, Friday we'll just get together. I mean, the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll get together and we'll make up for what we missed Monday to Thursday. But
Right.
it doesn't really work that way because when you're gone from Monday to Thursday, during that time, your mates spend that time arguing with you, fighting with you, saying all kinds of mean things to you, about not being around and, what's going on. Why are you going all the time? Even though she knows that it's about bringing home the bacon, right?
Right,
But
right,
she doesn't care about that. Why are you gone all this time? Who is there? Is there another woman there? And then that argument it
right.
transitioned into something else. So by the time Friday and Saturday comes around, it's like you don't want to hear that anymore. So you're going, you know what? I just need some me time. I need my man cave.
Right, because the other woman or the other man is the business.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's who the man or woman is. But it's in
Hi, hi, Moni Franco. Moni Franco, thank you for joining the Business Zone. Hope you can share some light on what we're talking about today.
Now, for me, when I first started my business, I always do have multiple things going on, right? So, in addition to my practice, I also was skiing and I was running a skiing program, right? We would go
Yeah,
away on the weekends and we'd ski the whole weekend and we'd come back on Monday
right,
and I worked Monday through Thursday. Then Friday, I was out back again, right? So for
right,
me, if I was dating anyone, I would be dating that person, especially if they didn't ski.
right.
I would be dating them from the summer,
Right.
probably from the summer, probably from April, May until December when we started to start up skiing again. And then it was like everything would just fall apart. Because I was gone every weekend.
Oh my Lord. That's one of those part-time relationships.
So my relationships were seasonal. they were from May until December. After that, the season was over. The
Right,
dating
right.
season was over. So it was really difficult in the early days.
Yes. So see, it doesn't matter how much you try as an entrepreneur, it's just not going to work. Especially if your partner doesn't understand some of the things that you do as an entrepreneur. They don't
Right.
understand where you have to be, what you have to do, these meetings that you got to be in. Sometimes you gotta take clients out for lunch in order to get the deal. that customer acquisition cost that we talk about, you got to spend some time with that customer to acquire that customer. And in some businesses, when the customer acquisition cost is like 20% of your budget, that's a big cost right there. So
Right.
you want to really, really, make sure that if you're spending that much time with the customers to bring them in, then you got to win that customer and keep them.
Right, exactly.
Winning the customer is one thing, and keeping that customer, it's another thing. So sometimes the partner or the mate, they don't understand that. Why you got to go to this dinner with this person, and why can't I come? Well, some of these events you can come, but you don't want to come
Right.
because by the time the invitation is extended, you're getting an attitude, and I don't want to spoil the mood. I'm in a frame of mind that I want to
Yeah.
meet with these folks and win them over, and it's just unbelievable.
And so you try to come up with strategies. Okay, so I'll
Yes.
date someone that's kind of similar to me, right? And then
Yes.
you're too similar, right? Because you're
Yeah.
just like everybody's on that same path. Like, oh, that
Yeah.
didn't work.
Right. And then the most popular alternative is, okay, let's try to date an entrepreneur then, because this person is an entrepreneur just like me. But then there's a whole nother set of issues associated with that, because that entrepreneur may have a family, have kids, and now they got to focus on the kids, and it's just
Yeah,
one
so now they're
whole
balancing
cycle. Yeah.
family, children, you,
Yes.
the business, and so it just becomes overwhelming. So it's
Yes.
just like, so I think, and I don't know what the secret is, and we're going to find out because we have a number of guests that's going to come
Guests
on
coming
that
up.
have
Yeah.
that have actually tried to have made this work. Right, we have a number
Yes.
of couples that have been together for a number of years. They work
Yes.
in the same business. Now that one, I eventually, that became my strategy,
Yeah.
that if I was in a business with someone that was a partner, or we in one of my projects or businesses, a lot
Mhm.
of times that worked better because we
Right.
both had the same goals.
Right.
The only problem is if it doesn't work, somebody got to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody got to leave the business. But that was a little bit more successful for me
Yeah.
as a business owner,
Yeah.
and trying to balance that, and then it just came to a point. Okay, I'll do this solo thing for a while,
Yeah.
and but then, like, I think you've said this, when you get to a place where you're a pinnacle of success, you're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, you're maybe at this point, because I know for me in the last 5 years I really started to be recognized for the works that I've done in the community, right?
Yes. Yes.
So there's no one to share that with.
Right.
My business partners, you and anybody else,
Yeah.
my partner. But from a
Yeah.
personal level, there's
Right.
no one to share those joys with. Like,
Right.
wow, or you go to an awards dinner and they're handing you a
Yes.
plaque, and you're like,
Right.
so it's my family, right? My sister, my uncle.
Yeah, and
But
see, that's the thing with an entrepreneur, that why their life is so tumultuous, because here you are, you're trying to bring home the bacon, you're trying to build this relationship, you're trying to build security and all of that, and but the other person may not see it that way, right? And they may resent you for a number of different things. And Moni Franco, if you want to share some of your insight on this too, I'd really love it. Okay.
yeah,
So
how that works.
yes, and if there's anyone else is watching this, please share your insight with us, because who knows, maybe you're in a relationship right now as an entrepreneur and it's working. So we'd like to get your input. But so you may receive an award, like Trailblazer of the Year for 2022, right? Or like me, you may get an award like Latino Business Advocate of the Year, and now you want to share that with your partner. but the partner is not in the mood to share anything with you. The partner's going,
Because for
oh
you to
yeah,
get that, you had to
yeah.
crumble all over them.
Exactly. So the partner is like, yeah, whatever, and then you really want to share this with somebody because, all that hard work, the struggles, the sacrifices that you're making out there in the industry, in the marketplace, you definitely want to share this with somebody. It's not like or if you get awarded a contract or you get awarded a grant, you want to share those successes with somebody close to you. And most of the time it don't happen that way. So that's how a lot of entrepreneurs end up having that lonely life, because even though they may have a partner, they're still lonely.
Yeah, they're still there. Monet said that exactly truthful. Yeah, and this would be the time, right? Because now they can
Yeah.
see, okay, baby, this is all this hard work I've
Yeah.
done.
It's paying off.
See, this is paying off. Now it's right, and usually with rewards come monetary gain, which then
Yes.
changes your lifestyle, the whole bit,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
but I do know you have to be very mindful. I think even though it's difficult for us sometimes,
Yes.
we're doing it now because
Right.
it's on our personal level. We're like, wait, we can't work like this all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. Greg, hello, Greg.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our field correspondent, Mr. Greg Sneed. He just gave us his input. He said, new business, find a rent a partner. Find a rent a partner
Rent you a
business.
I assume he means rent a partner that was going to go to the awards dinner. Still not the
Yeah.
same, Greg. Because when Faith goes with you, Faith goes with you, you're very happy. But yeah, it is. It can be quite a lonely journey.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's why many entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, say it's lonely at the top. And that's just part of it. I mean, it is true. Lonely at the top it means a lot of things. It means, one, you are in a specialized group of entrepreneurs who are successful. There are not too many of you up there, and it's kind of difficult for you to work down to other folks who are not on that level because they don't get you, right? And then now the partner is not buying into what you're selling. So they're saying, well, you've been gone for too long. You've been out there doing all this. I don't know. I'm not into this. I'm not celebrating with you. So it's just, that's how it gets lonely, because now you've received these awards, these accolades, but there's no one to celebrate it with you. So yeah.
Right. And I think one of the things you have to do, one, you have to set aside time for that individual, right? This is, like even when you've been married for a long period of time, there has to be a date night, right? This is the night. You turn your phone off. You tell everybody, don't interrupt me. This is the time I'm spending with my family, and you can't infringe on that, right? So that's the first thing. I think you have to create a time when you go vacationing or a staycations, as they call them, where you take a vacation and you stay in town, but leave your house, leave your office, leave your phone, leave all that.
I take a little trip up to Santa Barbara or something, or San Diego or something like that.
Yeah, so that you can spend that time. And while you're there, you can't talk about business.
The emails, the text, all of that, you got to shut it down.
You cannot. You have to be. You can be passionate about your business, but you got to find things that you can be passionate about, that you and your partner can share. One of the things, our friend Tanya Mackey and her husband James, right? Both they work in the same business as well. The ones that I know that got real successful relationships, they working together,
in the same business, so they can talk about things. They're talking about the same customers, the same clients, the same approaches and strategies. Yeah.
Right. But then they take time away from their business and they travel. They used to travel a lot.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, their business was pretty successful. So they would go off and they would go to Paris and they'd be gone
Hmm.
for a month or so, maybe up to 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And in that time, no business, no nothing, just getting to know each other. So I always look at them and they're like best of friends. Right,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they've actually been very deliberate, and I'm sure a lot of our um a lot um of our guests will say the same thing. You have to
Yeah.
just kind of develop that, but you have to make sure. And I think the other secret is, Monet says, be in silent mode while on a date. Right, exactly. I always keep my phone on silent, but
Yeah.
don't respond to your phone. Don't pick it up and engage with your phone.
Right.
Um, and I think you have to get to a place where you actually get irritated when someone intervenes on
Yeah.
that special time.
Yeah.
Like right now,
Gotta set boboundaries. Gotta
you
set
set
boundaries.
boundaries, right? So when someone, because even today, when I've started to set boundaries in my business, and I get irritated when you know certain people uh, uh um override my boundaries,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
they reach out to me on the weekends, or
Right.
but I make it very, very clear, unless it's you, of course you can call me anytime you want, but
Yeah.
clients that we have an exchange where I work for money.
Yeah.
Don't call me on a day that I don't work.
Right.
Right.
But you've been very good with your boundaries though, because I know for sure on Saturdays, Saturdays, Sundays, you got your things that you're doing. And
Hmm.
even if I call, I know you're not answering, so I'm not even gonna call. So you know, so I make sure I don't try to infringe on that. And you've been really good at honoring your boundaries. So these are things that we can share with our other entrepreneurs out there. That yes, setting boundaries, guys, is really a good way to try to keep peace in that relationship and try to get the partner. And Moni said, hey, put the phone on silent mode when you're on date, like date night, or if you guys are just watching movies or driving to Santa Barbara or whatever, yeah, put it on silent mode. You're not gonna. Or some people they have two phones. They have a business phone and then they have a personal phone. So then the business phone, they're not taking that with them on the
Hmm.
weekend. They're
Hmm.
leaving that at home or in the car, and then the personal phone is the one they'll take with them. So that's another way you can help to establish your boundaries.
And I think that, and so your boundaries, when you establish those, you have to make sure they are related out to everyone else, right? To
Yeah,
your actual
yeah,
network of people. So
yeah,
yes, on everyone knows on Saturdays I'm playing tennis in the mornings. On Tuesdays I have Zumba after 6. Yeah, even clients that I do workshops for, call me any other time, but don't
yeah.
call me on Saturday.
Right,
Really are not looking to talk to anybody after 5 o'clock or 6
right.
after we leave the show on Friday. Not looking to talk to anyone about business until Monday.
Yeah. You know what's amazing? One night, I think it was 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and my phone rang, and it was a client. Someone, my partner said, "What? What is the client doing calling you at this time of night? You sure it's a client? What you guys got going on? It's a client. Look, it's a client.
Right
There's
now, you got
nothing
to
going.
explain.
Yeah, now you got to explain. I'm going. There's no hanky panky. There's nothing going on. I don't know if maybe the person accidentally dialed or what it was, but oh man, she went off on that. You need to tell them not to call you at after 7 o'clock or something to that effect. So it was just unbelievable, man. So I had a workshop the next day. I made sure I told all my clients,
Don't call me. Well,
please, if you need
but you
something, you can
but
email, but don't call.
don't call. But you assume that people know that. That's just kind of common service, right?
Oh man.
Common courtesy, right?
Yeah.
After a certain time, after 7 o'clock, for me, I don't call anyone past 6 o'clock.
Right.
But
Right.
after 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, because that's usually dinner hour for most people,
Yes.
and so you to respect that time.
Right.
And if the clock and you're going, oh my God, it's not, I
Yeah.
don't even call you at 9:30, 10
Right.
o'clock at
Right.
night.
Right.
I
Right.
might text you, and
Yeah.
if you don't get to me to the next day, that's
Right.
fine.
Right.
But no, and I don't call anyone on Sundays. I've had clients call me on Sunday morning.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yes.
you really are kidding me, right? And I'm not nice. What? Excuse me?
I've had client call me at 6:30 in the morning. I'm going, what?
Yeah, I make it very clear I am not a morning person, so don't call me before 10 o'clock in the morning, and don't call me after 6 o'clock. I know these are my hours. Don't, because a lot of times if I got phone calls all day long and I'm engaging in whatever, then
Yeah.
from 7 to 8 o'clock, I may have a work time trying to
Yeah.
get work done,
Right.
right, between
Yeah.
those hours. So, and that's not even with a relationship, but don't call me. That's how you're gonna get your feelings hurt if you
Right.
call me.
Right.
I know when I was in Egypt and I had told everyone I am going to Egypt, I am off. No need to call me because I'm not responding. And every now and then, an email would, not an email, I would ignore the emails, but a text would come through. And I was like, did I not tell you I was in Egypt? I will be back. And when I get back, then I will respond to you. I am on vacation. So just as adamant as I think you are for your own personal life, you definitely have to be that adamant when sharing your life with a mate. I think you have to set those boundaries.
Right. Right. Now, do you remember this celebrity matchmaker? Her name is Patty, I think.
Yes, I read.
The millionaire matchmaker. She had a problem too. I mean, she's an entrepreneur, very successful. The business goes well. She's very good at what she does, but when it comes to dating, her life is a nightmare.
Right. And now here's what I have found, and Monet, you might be able to respond to this, or there's somebody listening. Depending on the type of profession that a woman entrepreneur is in, if she's a high-powered CEO type of person that micromanages her everything, her whole entire world, her employees and everything, when she goes home, she micromanaging in the exact same way, right?
Exactly.
And so when she speaks to a person or her mate, she and generally in business, you're looking for outcomes, right?
Yeah.
So you have procedures and processes, and any deviation from those procedures or processes could throw off the whole thing, right? So that's the same thing she's expecting in her relationships, and everything is kind of structured, right? We're going to do this at this time. We're going to eat here at this time. You need to eat this. You need to do this. You need to do this. So the man is like, whoa.
And the thing about it is a lot of female entrepreneurs who they are the CEO in their business, so they call themselves boss babes.
Yeah.
A lot of them in their relationship, well, they may treat their workers a certain way, like they give them instructions, they give them orders and tell them what to do, and they do it. So that's good for work. But when you get home with your partner and you're giving your partner instructions and telling them what to do, that becomes a big problem. Because a lot of men, let's say your man, he works, he comes home at the end of the day, he's kicking back, he's relaxing, and you walk in, hey, did you take out the garbage? Did you do the dishes? It's like, no,
I
that's
am
not
not
gonna
the
work.
employee.
Yeah, I'm not the employee. I'm not your kid. It's not gonna work that way. It's not gonna work. So it's just unbelievable, man. It's not unbelievable. I want to send you a link, co-host.
Okay.
I want to send you a link to a video, and I want you to play it, so
Okay.
that most of our viewers can see, some of the nightmares that go on in the dating world, and some of the recommendations as well. So
Right. It is not an easy thing, but I do think it's you have to make a very conscious effort to make this stuff work. I don't know what the secrets are, and I hope when we get some of our guests, they will share some of their secrets and how they've made it work. I haven't quite figured out how to make it work. I'm working on it though.
well, we're hoping our guests in the coming weeks can shine some light and provide some tips on what they use in their relationships, because many of these guys have been in relationships over 10, 20 years. So
Yeah.
maybe they can share some of their tips, so some of our viewers and listeners can see how they might be able to incorporate that in their own life, and see if they can make it work.
Yeah, because I think it does. I do think we should be able to share our successes and I think we, especially those of us that are running business, we have to be able to tap into our softer sides.
Yes, yes.
And those softer sides come with a mate.
Right, right. And you know what? One thing I learned, we did some studies recently, right? One thing I learned, there's a lot of Latino entrepreneurs, a lot of female Latina entrepreneurs, and they start certain businesses for whatever reason. They start their own business, and they've got kids. They may be married, and maybe the husband was used to them taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, cooking and cleaning and all of that. Now they've become an entrepreneur, so they're out there marketing the business, going to expos, going to events, meeting clients. And that's an unusual thing for many Latino husbands or mates, because they expect the girlfriend or the wife to be in the home doing what they do. So it makes it extremely difficult for many of those entrepreneurs what they need to do. Did you get the video?
I did.
Okay. Go ahead and play.
Play it. Okay, here we go, guys.
You're doing well. Today we got a very special guest joining us. You may have seen Thomas in the vlogs before. Thomas, my fiance, and we've been in a relationship for how many years now, Thomas?
Almost 5.
5 years, and I couldn't even remember myself. Oh God, I'm failing already. So in today's video, we want to share in regards to a topic that's not really widely discussed. It's more of a private topic, but I know definitely from, for example, reaching out to a lot of successful people all across the globe, this is a real problem. Because there's a great saying goes, if the wifey isn't happy, nobody's happy, right? So we're going to talk to you today about why entrepreneurs tend to suck at relationships and how you can improve. And Thomas is going to share her insights in regards to how she's managed to, for example, hold strong, hold tight, even though there has been days, for example, like I'm working like to make this vision a reality, and she doesn't even see me the whole day, and for some girls that's a big problem, and they need to have mental fortitude to still stay strong. So without further ado, Thomas, let's begin to talk about why entrepreneurs tend to suck at being in a relationship. What would you say?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna say one thing. Why entrepreneurs in particular, out of all of the different careers, businesses that you can be in, because to become an entrepreneur you need a particular skill set, and I believe that there is a particular type of personality for a true entrepreneur. And because I found that, well, even the people that we know, or like the entrepreneurs that we have in our circle, they're not the easy people to get along with. First of all, they normally have really strong personality, and
she's looking
Tim
at
is
me.
one of them. Tim is one of them, and
oh God.
I think it's because entrepreneurs, the real entrepreneurs, they have really strong vision and they have really strong mission, and they want to make it happen whatever it takes. And I think because a lot of the times they put their business, not necessarily business, I think at that point money is not as important as the mission or vision is. That's why they tend to suck with relationships, because sometimes they leave it aside. And for a lot of girls it's a big problem, exactly what you said.
Yeah, if I was to mention some of the traits that I've noticed about myself, as well as people, I've connected with leaders all across the globe now, because I'm fortunate of speaking around the world and sharing stages with great renowned leaders you've probably heard of. One of these things I've realized from connecting with these people, as well as connecting with myself, is definitely, like you mentioned, is the vision. And it comes down to values, really, because I realized from analyzing my values was that the impact was such a big value for me. I was putting that over everything. And so it wasn't, for example, like I was putting relationship at the top, I was putting impact at the top. And as a result, the businesses I was creating, I was just putting that as a priority, meaning I was having sleepless nights where I was just work on the vision, not really think about anything else. And this was back in the past until I really began to analyze this. And so I would say entrepreneurs have that tendency to almost have like a laser pinpoint accuracy in regards to what they want, and they drown out everything else out of the world. And sometimes that's the very thing that causes sometimes divorces amongst some entrepreneurs. And it's actually quite common. If you look at some of the biggest entrepreneurs out there, they're constantly going through divorces. You can actually see this because they publicly share it sometimes, which is sad to realize. And I think it's as a result of that vision, you've got that passion for what you do and so forth.
Yeah, I think if I was to go to then step number one straight away without...
Well, in regards to how they can improve.
Yeah. I would say number one thing is communication. Because I'm gonna speak from the girl's point of view. Sometimes it's really hard to understand what's going on in your head, because there are so many things, and then you feel like, oh, maybe it's me, maybe it's my problem, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I need to be a little bit more needy. You know, we are kind of self-centered beings at the end of the day, and we start thinking about all these things of why he's not giving me attention, so it doesn't mean that I'm not important and all that kind of stuff. But when you, like, I found when we speak and when you tell me like, oh, you know, actually this is what I see and this is the bigger vision, and you know, I need you to be there to support me, everything shifts. And I believe if you don't talk about it, if you just like follow your mission and vision and you leave that person aside, not together in, you know, pursuing that vision to happen, but like aside of the mission and vision, then that person, like for that person, it's really hard to be part of it and support you, because they don't really understand what's happening. So really communicate, explain what's happening, and just keep them in the vision and in the mission, and this way you will get the support that you need to just, you know, really achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, one of the things I realized is about realizing your why and being open to expressing the why behind everything that you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I realized with Tom, as well as previous relationships I've had, is where they failed is I wasn't explaining why, I was just kind of doing it. And then the reality is, human beings, we attach meanings to things, and we attach different meanings to things. So for example, you can attend the same party as somebody else but take a totally different meaning out of the whole experience. And so unless you openly share why you're doing what you're doing, why you're working so hard, why you know, for example, not taking the person you love out for dinner often, unless you explain the why in regards to your vision, how you see things, the long term, the short term, you'll never know in regards to whether or not you can, for example, keep that person happy, because they're going to attach their own meaning, and that's where a lot of the clashes tend to happen, right? Okay, so what would you say the second thing is?
Well, second thing is, apart from communication, how they can improve it, I think, okay, so that's coming from like more like us, we were talking about you guys, entrepreneurs, and how pleasing you kind of in this way. But then another thing I think is to show a little bit attention to your partner as well, because you guys are working so much and you have, let's say, your partner supporting you at all times and so on. So it's kind of nice, appreciate that, because it seems like it's not hard work to be there and support whatever happens, but it is hard work at the same time, because you might be angry, your mood swings and everything. It's quite hard to control for the partner being next to you. So acknowledge them. I'm not saying every single day now spend hours, but whenever you can, let's say maybe you can have a date night once a month when you just like spend your time with your partner. Just find that time to appreciate them, because that's one of the, you know, human needs is that love and connection. And if that person doesn't get that majority of the time, then it's really hard to really understand why you are even together, you know. So really find that time to acknowledge the person that is next to you.
I'm gonna stop it there, but that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Exactly what we've been talking about. And I
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that the big why. I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of the things I tell my classes, you know, I do a lot of startup classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I teach a workshop for the new Women's Business Center. And I do the second presentation that I do in the series of 6 is your powerful why. Why are you
Yeah,
doing this?
yeah.
Right? And once you identify for yourself why you're doing this, then identify what your vision is and the mission of what you're doing. Then because it always comes down to, you know, what are your fears about being an entrepreneur? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's being disappointing my family and friends, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I always tell them, if you're embarking on this entrepreneurial journey, which is not an easy road, trust me, it's not an easy road.
Yeah.
uh Not paved with gold, and it takes you a long time to achieve the benefits of all of your hard work. You
Mm-hmm.
must sit down with your family and
Yeah.
your loved ones, and you must explain to them in detail about what you're going to do
Yeah.
and a timeline and when you think this is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I totally
Because
agree.
if you don't tell if you just like, you know, and there's a lot of them because we meet these entrepreneurs all the time, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
meet an entrepreneur, they're super excited about going into business, and all they ever talk about is just the, you know, they're telling you all the wonderful, glorious things that's going to happen in this business. And even you as a coach is going, okay. Right. Okay, dokie. So after you listen to them, and then I know for me, and I'm sure you do the same thing. It's like, okay, so how you going to achieve that?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Right. And so I think we get very over enthusiastic about what we're doing as
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs. We get it because we're on the inside of it, but everybody
Mm-hmm.
outside of us is not going to get it. So you
Right.
have to, I think her number one was very powerful on what is your reason for doing what you're doing? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then and number two, then making time for that loved one, making sure that loved one is inclusive of this whole
Mm-hmm.
big plan. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think most women, if you let them know, baby, this is for us, we're a team, and this is what the end results is going to be, um, then there's a different opinion. I have a girlfriend, um, and her husband is the true. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when you do the description and definition of an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
he meets every criteria from front to back.
Right.
And there's been feast and there's been famine in their
Right.
world. And
Right.
she has hung in there and one of the reasons I know she's hung in there is because he's always included her in it. Always. She's always part of the idea, whether she's doing work or not, but he
Mm-hmm.
always includes her in the project, in the endeavors that he's done.
Yes.
And so she's hung in there, and he's taking care of her in that process, right? And they've taken care of each other. But I
Mm-hmm.
do know when I watched them, and I was like, a lesser woman would have walked away from this one.
That's true. That is true.
So so he chose correctly when he chose her. And I guess he told her what his powerful why was, why they were in the date mode.
Mm-hmm.
And she has hung in there with him. And but a lot of women would not have. A lot of women would have walked away a long time ago. So because because the famine was greater than the feast. Let me put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. That is
So
true. That is true.
yeah,
So, one of the things that they also mentioned, which I think is really important, to an entrepreneur and in his relationship, personal relationship, is share values.
yeah,
Once they demonstrate share values, like you mentioned the why earlier. Why are you doing this? Well, I'm doing this, one, to generate more revenues for the business, but also to be able to buy for you these things that you mentioned you wanted, and
yeah,
also to give you a certain lifestyle that you really want, or you're accustomed to. So once those things are shared, and the person, your partner, realizes that you have to do that in order to get to that objective, then that's really, really important. Also, some of the shared values could be health. It could be health. It could also be, reliability, loyalty. All of those things. That's a value that you prize. You put a lot of value on. They put value on loyalty as well, and those types of reliability. So all of those things coming together definitely helps.
I think so. I think the value piece is really good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
and the communication. That's how we kind of started
yeah,
out with this. Is the
yeah.
communication is
And
really important.
communication could be part of the shared values too. Because
Hmm.
if we all say yes, communication, and here are some of the shared values, and so that person is listing their values, you're listing yours, and when you look at it, when you look at the two charts, there's a lot of your values interlapping with some of their values too. So that's where the sharing part comes in, because now you got shared values. Both people have some of the same values, and I
Yeah.
think that's really amazing.
Yeah, it is. Again, and I said, and having, and when you talk to her, but I'm doing this for this baby, but
Yeah,
we can travel, we can go do
yeah,
this. Where do you want
yeah,
to go
right,
for our vacation? And that way you're spending time with one another and
yeah.
expanding on and making her feel special, like we talked
Hmm.
about how we make our
Hmm.
clients feel special. Then
Yes,
we're doing the
yes,
same thing. So,
right, right.
um, um, so yeah, so that's guys, that's the beginning. Was our overview. So next week we will have a great guest on, and we're going to talk about this. And she's a relationship specialist.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yep.
Yes.
So each week we will have a new guest that will be talking about their experiences and based upon what we just kicked off here on how their tips and tools and some of their disasters and how they learn from those disasters. So make sure you come back next week and tune in so that you can we can carry this on. We're excited about this series. I think it's so important that we like that the couple just said. This is usually a conversation that we don't talk about in the public. We usually talk about it with our mates or we talk about it with our friends when our relationships have crashed and burned.
Yeah.
but but we don't have the conversation beforehand. So this is where we're going with this, at least for the next month. And we're excited about it. I hope you guys will. Monet, please come back again.
Yeah, I
Enjoyed
think
your
I think
input.
Moni shares some great points with us, and we really appreciate that, Moni. You got to come back next Friday. We're on, the Business Zone is on every Friday from 3 to 4, or if it's exciting, we'll jack it up to 4:30. So this was why we extended it this week, and next week we know for sure it's going to be extended to 4:30 because of our special guest that's coming on, that's going to be speaking on this subject. And the more we talk about this, folks, the more we're going to help entrepreneurs and their partners find that common ground, find those shared values that they can work on, work towards, and also become closer, become more communicative.
So they can share. So as Greg said, he just got back, so they don't have to share. They don't. You don't have to rent a partner.
Yeah, we're striving not to share a partner. And folks, just want to share this bit of information with you. And you may want to do research on it if you want. But we know that in relationships, 6 to 7% of marriages fail, and 7 to 80% of those divorces are requested by women, is requested by the female in the relationship. So I just want you guys to look at those numbers. Think about it. If you're a female in a relationship with an entrepreneur and your personal partner, take a look at that before you make that decision to file a divorce. Are there shared values that we discuss? That we communicate? How can we make this work together for both of us? So these are crucial points, guys.
Yeah. All righty, guys. So we will see you next week, same time, 3:00 on Friday. We're looking forward to it. Check out the flyers and our websites and our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and you'll see who the guests will be next week. But will be more conversations on balancing business, love, and relationships.
And so if you don't mind, please go to YouTube, guys, and check the subscribe button and subscribe to us. And also we'll be able to send you guys information, anything we've got, and a resource we've got on the subject or on entrepreneurship or growing your business or helping you to become business ready, contract ready, loan ready, and grant ready. So you're tuned in to the Business Zone with
Christo
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And without further ado, did you want to share any parting words, co-host, before we step out?
I think I'm good. You guys have a great one. Greg says, "Love your partner more than you love your money." There you go.
I love it.
That way you can keep your money.
I love it.
But
Greg.
no, I'm looking forward to this series, and so see you guys next week. Have a great one. Enjoy your weekend. Take some time for yourself. And we're practicing self-care. And this is how we do that.
That's
self-care.
what we do here on the Business Zone, guys.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Come back.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.